The Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer had one hobby that made him scarier than the murders themselves. He treated human lives like puzzle pieces. This man didn't stalk victims. He scored them, like points in a game only he understood. While normal people collected stamps, he collected moments of fear. Every attack was a move. Every letter was his next round. He wasn't killing, he was playing. His favorite pastime? Writing coded messages nobody asked for. Hours spent crafting symbols that looked like a toddler keyboard crashed. But to him, this was art. He mailed those puzzles to newspapers just to watch panic spread like wildfire. Not for attention, but because he loved knowing the whole city was trying to solve his brain. And the creepiest part? He didn't just send clues. He sent laughs, taunts, little, "you'll never catch me," winks hidden in cipher form. He didn't want fame. He wanted a challenge, a puzzle, a chase. And that's why the Zodiac's hobby was the most disturbing. He didn't see people as people. He saw them as steps in his game, and the puzzle was never meant to be solved. Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey Dahmer had a hobby that was so disturbing, it didn't even make sense to normal humans. He tried to preserve people, not memories, not moments, people. While others saved photos, Dahmer saved the parts that shouldn't be saved. He treated the human body like a biological museum project, cataloging, sorting, labeling, trying to freeze time by keeping pieces of life that were never meant to be kept. He wasn't obsessed with killing. He was obsessed with stopping things from leaving him. To him, preserving a body was like stopping the world from moving. He read books on anatomy like they were DIY guides, studied chemicals like a hobbyist preparing for a science fair project from hell. And the creepiest part? He arranged everything neatly, perfectly, symmetrically, like he was building a collection, not committing crimes. Dahmer didn't just want control. He wanted permanence. A world where nothing changes, nothing dies, nothing escapes. His hobby wasn't murder. His hobby was preservation, but the things he chose to preserve turned him into a monster history we'll never forget. Ed Gein's hobby was so unnerving that detectives needed days to accept it was real. While other people did normal DIY projects, Gein turned his entire house into a handmade horror museum. His obsession? Crafting things that should never be crafted. He treated graveyards like hardware stores, took materials no human should ever take, and used them for home improvement. He stitched. He shaped. He molded. Not because he needed decorations, but because he wanted to rebuild the world the way he liked it. He didn't see objects as objects. He saw potential. A chair that could become something else. A lamp that could be redesigned. A mask that could feel alive. To Gein, the human body wasn't sacred, it was raw material. Something he could turn into an art project nobody asked for. The creepiest part wasn't the objects themselves. It was the calm, focused way he crafted them. Like a quiet man fixing a bicycle in his garage. Gein wasn't driven by rage, or chaos, or thrill. He was driven by a gentle, patient hobbyist mindset. The kind that makes pottery, just twisted into something the world still can't understand. Ted Bundy's creepiest hobby wasn't stalking, or planning, or escaping police. It was something far stranger. He practiced being human. Bundy treated personality like a costume. Every smile, rehearsed. Every charming line, scripted. Every nice guy moment, a role he performed like an actor auditioning for a part he already owned. He studied people like homework, copied their mannerisms, borrowed their laughs, stole their confidence. His hobby was shape-shifting socially, emotionally, psychologically. He learned how to become whatever version of himself you trusted most. And here's the creepy twist. Bundy collected newspaper stories about himself. Every headline, every photo, every courtroom sketch. He hoarded his own fame like a sick scrapbook. To Bundy, manipulation wasn't a tactic, it was a game he wanted to win. He didn't just pretend to be normal. He trained for it. His hobby wasn't murder. His hobby was performance. And the scariest part? He was really, really good at it. Richard Ramirez had a hobby that made detectives realize they weren't dealing with a normal killer. He was a collector, but not of coins, stamps, or photos. He collected fear. Ramirez loved taking small, personal objects from every victim. Not valuable things, but intimate things, a ring, a shoe, a photo, a scrap of clothing. Objects that felt like pieces of someone's life. To him, these weren't souvenirs. They were trophies, physical reminders of the power he held in the moment. But here's the part that chilled investigators. He arranged these items carefully, neatly, almost respectfully, like a dark shrine hidden away from the world. Every object sat in a specific place. Every stolen piece had a meaning only he understood. He believed these items soaked up the fear of their owners and kept that energy for him. Ramirez didn't just break into homes. He broke into lives and took the parts that felt the most personal. His creepiest hobby wasn't murder. It was building a collection of fear, one stolen object at a time. A collection that only made him feel stronger. John Wayne Gacy had a hobby that confused everyone at first, then horrified them. He hid behind a clown. Not for joy. Not for kids. Not for charity. Gacy used clown makeup the way other people use masks. To disappear into a character no one would suspect. His hobby wasn't performing. It was pretending. When Gacy put on that costume, he wasn't John anymore. He became Pogo, a smiling cartoon with painted-on innocence. The makeup wasn't decoration, it was armor. He loved mastering the clown persona, the walk, the laugh, the silly voice. The way people relaxed around him because they assumed clowns were harmless. That was the hobby, earning trust through disguise. But here's the disturbing part: even after he was arrested, he kept painting clowns. Dozens of them. Smiling, staring, floating on his prison walls. Like he wasn't trying to forget what he did, he was trying to preserve the character he created. Gacy's creepiest hobby wasn't the crimes. It was becoming someone else so completely that people never saw the monster behind the paint. Dennis Rader's hobby was obsession disguised as organization. He didn't just commit crimes, he documented them. Meticulously. Binders, folders, charts, lists. Every detail of his murders logged like office paperwork. He wasn't obsessed with being caught. He was obsessed with remembering everything. The way normal people scrapbook vacations, Rader scrapbooked terror. He even sent letters to the police, bragging about his work, like a kid showing a perfect school project to the teacher. And here's the creepiest part. He called it projects. Not crimes. Projects. Meaning in his mind, it was hobby, routine, life. Rader didn't hunt for thrill. He hunted for order, control, and a record that proved he was perfect at it. His hobby wasn't killing. It was scrapbooking horror, one meticulously labeled page at a time. Aileen Wuornos had a hobby that was quieter, but just as unsettling. She wrote, not diaries, not novels, long, paranoid, rambling letters that no one wanted to read. She obsessed over fate, justice, and the universe treating her victims like agents of a cosmic balance. Her writings weren't just thoughts. They were prophecies, warnings, confessions, and rants all rolled into one. She analyzed every encounter, every motive, every emotion, like she was charting the stars. But the stars were people she hunted. The creepiest part? Her letters predicted storms, not literal storms, but storms of violence, vengeance, and death she believed were coming. Wuornos didn't just kill. She wrote. And in her hobby, she turned reality into a personal, chaotic prophecy. Andre Chikatilo had a hobby that sounds almost normal until you think about it. He kept a secret diary of his violent fantasies. Not sketches, not plans, but detailed accounts of the darkest thoughts he could imagine. He treated these fantasies like homework. Every cruel scenario written down, analyzed, perfected. Every person he disliked became a character in his twisted stories. The creepiest part? He didn't just fantasize. He recorded it meticulously, systematically, like a teacher grading his own imagination. Chikatilo didn't just think about violence. He treated it as a hobby, a ritual, and a project. His diary wasn't just words on paper. It was a map of obsession, a blueprint of what he wanted to do, and what he eventually did. Albert Fish had a hobby that was as twisted as it was personal. He tested pain on himself. Not for science, not for fun, but because he believed it purified him. Fish kept lists, meticulous, obsessive lists of every method he tried. Every sharp object, every burn, every experiment on his own body. The creepiest part? He treated it like a ritual.